Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, and I'm going to answer a question that I'm sure you've asked yourself. If you're here, you've definitely asked this, and that is why land? Why would I invest in land? Well, the truth is that we're kind of geared to go a different way. Everything we see, as far as real estate programs or even television shows, these fix it up shows and all things, these are all about houses, right? And of course they show you the glamorous side of it. It's like, oh, you get to redecorate, you get to tear down these walls and turn this thing over from this cheap house to this immaculate place and make $100,000. Well, that's nice, but the problem is, they don't show you all the issues that are involved. Or if they do, they minimize them and somehow they overcome every one of them every time. And the fact is that's just not real life. There's going to be issues along the way, and houses present a lot more than land does. With a house, right, you can run into issues as you start rehabbing or whatever your method may be. You could still run into issues. Yeah, you could have an issue with the sewer lines. You could have an issue with the electrical. You could have an issue with paint. You could have an issue with the roof. Uh, on and on and on it goes. Pests, things like that. And these can get into thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to correct them. Well, land doesn't have those issues. That's the bottom line. What we buy is exactly what we sell. We buy a piece of property and we sell that same piece of property. It's not possible to go out and destroy it or ruin it like a house could be. I mean, you literally have to have somebody go out with an excavator and start digging a big giant hole. And even then, it wouldn't really be destroyed, right? It would just be a little less appealing, but it could be easily fixable. And honestly, I mean, we've done thousand deals and that's never happened once because it just doesn't exist. Whereas we constantly ran into different issues with houses. So yes, houses are appealing. People like the way they look, they like the way they sound, and we're just geared towards thinking, well, that's where the money is in this business and in investing. But in reality, land poses an actual easier barrier of entry to get into. There's ways to do land deals with very little money up front. Whereas, and that's true in houses too, but it's even easier in land. And actually own the properties. That's not true in houses. So very little money up front and not borrowing it from others, and still having ownership of the property. Not running into these issues that we get with houses, well, that we already discussed. So even if you have to retain it, you don't have to worry about these issues existing. And second or third, there's really no competition in land. Everybody goes into the housing world, and there's 1,000 investors working in one city. Well, there's not even 1,000 land investors working in the entire country. There's very few people that focus on this full time. So when you look at how much is out there for land, well over you know three quarters of the country is still vacant land. You focus on that, and then you add to the fact that hardly anybody's focusing on it. There's so much more potential out there for land deals. So we'll get into that in the future and with other videos, but we just want to explain this is why you should be considering land.